Welcome to Old Dog, Young Bull. Old school meets new wave as Joe Old Dog Mays and Charlie Young Bull Forrester deliver a multimedia discussion of all things sports. Now settle in as Joe and Charlie come strong here on Old Dog, Young Bull. Welcome back to the Patchouli Podcast Studio here at Patchouli Joe's Books and Indulgences. Old Dog, Young Bull is back at home.
Yes, it's good to be back home, all full from the Thanksgiving feasts and some quality Cowboys football for me at least.
Absolutely. I hope you're not done with the Thanksgiving feast. We're doing soup tomorrow night made with the smoked carcass, which makes it sound way more barbaric than it actually was. But yeah, it makes hella soup.
Yeah, I'm excited for that, but I think I'm most excited for the pumpkin pie leftovers.
Yeah, there's a whole pie. We saved a whole pie for you.
Oh, lovely. Love to hear it. Love to hear it.
Yeah, well, we are back. Old Dog Young Bull is back. We are moving into the real no kidding guts of the NFL season. All kind of basketball stuff happening. We're at that time of year. Hockey's getting rolling. Saw Giannis and his agent are starting to talk to the Bucks about getting the hell out of Dodge because there's just no hope there. They just don't have a path forward with him. But
Yeah, and there were rumbles this past offseason that he wanted to go to the Knicks. Nothing ever came into fruition. But I know as a Mavs fan, it pains me that Nico was so in love with AD because this would be a perfect package to go get Giannis. And
yeah,
now the Mavs are in zero position to go do that.
yeah, I'm with you. Having lived through the AD experience, it's when he's great, he's great. When he's able to be on the floor healthy, and unfortunately, and I think that's just it was always a thing when I was younger where the uh, tall guys always they were constantly battling injuries. There's just so much pressure put on a 7 foot tall human body. And so you see somebody like Kevin Durant, who hasn't really had, other than the ruptured Achilles, hasn't had a whole lot of injuries. And despite what he wants people to believe, there are those who insist he is above 7 feet tall. And he's been able to stay relatively healthy. So
Yeah. But I mean, the Lakers wouldn't have won that championship in 2020 without AD.
that's fair.
And for the longest time, he was, one of the best bigs in the association, but he just can't stay healthy. And it's no disservice to AD. I think, of course, in Dallas, he's always going to be associated with that Luka trade, so it's always going to be in a negative light. But AD over his career, he's been, a top 50 player.
Absolutely.
So.
And like you said, he was a premier big in his prime. And it just I saw actually Charles Barkley was on David Letterman, and they were talking about Charles was talking about the toll that playing professional sports, any of the professional sports, takes on a human body. He said the human body was never intended to withstand that kind of pounding.
Mm.
In the NBA in particular, they're just obviously, football is very violent, but basketball, the NBA, the 82 games, not counting playoffs, not counting training preseason, the pounding on the knees and the joints and the back, and see guys like LeBron and Larry Legend, eventually that's what sort of takes them out, is those joint issues.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if you put AD on a team that he wasn't asked to be the best player, he could be very productive. But that contract limits him being a second fiddle because he was paid as the best player in LA, even whenever he was not, and he's getting paid to be the best player in Dallas whenever he clearly is not. And I think even a healthy Kyrie, he would be second fiddle.
Or is he third fiddle now with Cooper Flag in place? Would AD be third fiddle behind Kyrie if he's back?
Yeah, I mean, if they continue to play as they've played these past few games, with AD sliding to the 5 and Cooper sliding to the 4, then I could see him being third fiddle. But I know that was a point of contention in LA, was playing him majority at the 5. And so, yeah, I don't know how long that's gonna last. And I think it's just a matter of time before AD turns sour on this organization. His guy is already gone, and Nico Harrison. There's not many people left in the organization that are AD guys, so I could see him quickly turning sour. And as a Mavs fan, it'd be smart to put Cooper Flag in his correct position as a four, and just let him develop and be the primary scorer on that team, and not have to work the offense through, AD, or work it through, a PJ Washington, giving him essentially the room to grow into that. And that's really what we saw versus the Clippers this past game, is that Cooper, whenever he's put in the right position and given the opportunities, he shows why he was the number one overall pick.
Even given all of those things, which I 100% agree with you on, what he has demonstrated and the way he's performed, even in the ball handling and having to be the focal point of the offense,
Mm.
has been remarkable. He's, I think, exceeded my expectations, and they were fairly high for him. Yeah, he's delivered in every possible way. So hopefully that'll take some of the negativity away from obviously that sort of came in as a connection. This man, Miss David Stern conspiracy theories, man, this is a great one, but he'll always be associated with that trade as well because he was the guy who came in behind Luca. So that'll sort of always hang over his head, I think. But he's delivering, he's doing his job.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of time before, the organization is his. And
Yep.
right now he's just in a position where it's not yet. So
Yep.
it's just a matter of time. But since we're on the NBA topic, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the Chris Paul news.
Yes.
So essentially, he got into multiple altercations with a head coach, and essentially was trying to hold the team accountable. And the Clippers decided, you're not retiring as a Clipper,
Yeah.
and released him. Said go home.
Yep. They did not take him on the road, so the release was sort of imminent. That's, I guess, the AI school of going into battle with Tyronn Lue. Yeah, Chris Paul is fine. Do you like that one?
That's a good one. Stepping over him.
Yeah. And yeah, that's kind of what Chris Paul tried to do organizationally, is step over his head coach and run the team. And yeah, Tyronn Lue didn't like that so much. And Chris Paul has, my feelings on Chris
Yeah,
Paul.
definitely.
But the one thing that he's always been is a team leader.
Yeah.
And that's rubbed a lot of coaches the wrong way, good, bad, or indifferent. But when he is no longer able to perform at the level he was even 2-3 years ago, that leadership in the locker room can very quickly be spun as divisiveness in the locker room. Same exact behavior, but when you're the starting guy, coaches put up with a little bit more of that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like the expectations for this Clippers team was a bottom feeder team this year. They don't even own their own pick.
Yep.
Oklahoma City owns their own pick.
God, the rich get richer.
Yeah, and essentially they're sitting at 5-16, so something has to change. And a backup, not even backup, probably third string point guard on the team that is just signed there to be a vet presence in an already, veteran locker room.
Mm-hmm.
They're I don't want to be a Chris Paul apologist here, but of course there has to be some sort of accountability and fire being put on that organization, because you're sitting at 5-16 with expectations as at least being a playoff team, and right now you're looking at a lottery pick, and that lottery pick you don't even own. So for Tyronn Lue to be like, don't question this team, and you're becoming a nuisance by just holding people accountable, it's kind of it's it's just striking as dysfunction.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at this roster, and some names jump out at me when you talk about whether or not a roster is going to come together,
Oldest roster in the league.
you got Bradley Beal,
Yep.
you got James Harden,
Yep.
you got Kawhi.
Yep.
Brooke Lopez has kind of been a sort of that glue guy most of his career, which is gone. I think he's now entering its 5th decade or something.
Yeah.
He's like 1,000 years old.
Yeah,
Kobe's
he was the top player for those Nets teams, but that was freaking
long time
centuries
ago.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, Kobe Sanders is a interesting prospect. I think he's got some talent, but you look at the age of these guys and you look at their track records, right, wrong, indifferent, the reputations that they've developed over the years. Yeah, this year did not start off well with that whole uh, Kawhi Leonard and his uncle
Getting paid underneath the
business
table. Yeah,
deals, and
100%.
to circumvent the rumors that
Yep.
they allegedly circumvented the salary cap.
Yep.
Yeah, the Clips. Yes, I heard that on the way in.
Yeah, it's
It's
horrible.
ugly.
It's horrible. And for a player that is already announced he's going to retire at the end of the year, to just completely tarnish, his legacy. He was, I know Blake Griffin was on that team, but he was the best player on those Clippers teams that were really competitive with Lob City.
Yep.
And for him to say he wanted to come home and accept a very decreased role at this point in time, for them just to cut their ties, that's just the most Clipper thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
No loyalty to anybody, even those that, carried your organization. You're still going to throw them to the wolves for what? Tyronn Lue, who, what has he really produced in LA? His claim to fame is always going to be Cleveland. But he hasn't done anything worth notoriety in LA. So it's a shame. It's a deep shame, and I don't know where Chris Paul goes. But I know one of his main focuses was being back around his kids. Because whenever he was playing in OKC and San Antonio, they still were living in LA, and he really wanted to be back around just for one final year. So I don't know where he goes. The Lakers would make the most sense, but they can't sign anybody until January 14th. So does he wait that long?
Well, and there are those who believe, and by those I mean me, that the NBA season doesn't even start till after Christmas, as you get into the trade deadline and those kinds of things. So
yeah,
there's
especially with the second apron.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
whenever you can go get new players off of these off-season contracts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every time we talk about the Clippers, I always go back to that Bill Simmons column that he wrote when he was writing for Page 2 about the curse of the Clippers when they left Buffalo, and the whole thing. It's a great article. I have to find it for you. It's
I
a good
definitely
read.
would read that. Yeah, because they've been the basketball purgatory for my entire existence.
For mine,
Yeah.
for their entire existence. I mean, it's just,
you go back to like what, World Be Free and all those teams, all the way to Baron Davis,
Bill Walton. I mean, go all the way back to Bill Walton.
Golly, I forgot Bill Walton
Yeah.
played for him. I just always associate Bill Walton with Portland because of that championship, but I forget he played for the Clips too.
Yeah, going back to 2009, this is an open letter to Blake Griffin from Bill Simmons, and it opens with, "Dear Blake, run. Just start running. Run for your life. Run like the star of a horror movie. Don't turn around. Run and keep running." If that gives you any sense of what and then he goes into the whole curse of the sacred buffalo and how the Clippers got cursed. It's
interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting read. I'll just drop this for you now while we're talking other stuff.
Yeah.
Because we do here in North Texas, we do have some good news on the football front. Not only has the standing of the UNT football program elevated beyond to historical levels. Sad news: Eric Morris has moved on to Oklahoma State.
Yeah,
that's sad.
Go Pokes.
However, I will say that the good news is that looks like they have hired Neil Brown, former head coach at West Virginia, former head coach at Troy, was offensive coordinator, if I'm not mistaken, at University of Texas.
Yep.
I think he is a brilliant get. I think if you have somebody who's given all the candidates I've seen discussed, I think he is the one that is has the greatest chance to keep the Eric Morris legacy moving forward.
Yeah, big shoes to fill. Big shoes to fill.
Yeah, especially the work that Morris did with the quarterback. His reputation as a quarterback whisperer is just non-parallel. But yeah,
Yeah.
this I thought was a great coach.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or a great hire. I mean,
yeah, and we'll see. We'll see North Texas moving forward. But of course, after he accepted the position at Oklahoma State, UNT still is allowing him to coach. So he still is coaching, unlike an Ole Miss coach that essentially burned that bridge before they headed out, and that's Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, who burned what bridge? You just said UNT made the decision to let Eric Morris coach through whatever postseason, through the championship game, the American Conference. And then whatever comes beyond that, they agreed to let him coach there. So it is okay. It's legal, apparently, for a school to do that.
Yep.
So did Lane Kiffin burn Ole Miss's bridge, or did Ole Miss burn Lane Kiffin's bridge?
Well, we're talking about Lane Kiffin here, right?
He was our head coach. Yeah.
I think that there's only been one place he hasn't burned a bridge leaving, and that would be Florida Atlantic.
Did he burn bridges when he left Alabama?
Yeah,
when he was when he was assistant coach with.
Yes,
with
he
Nick?
accepted the Florida Atlantic job, and there were comments made that made Nick Saban so upset that he would not let
That's true.
him coach the final game, the bowl game.
Yeah, as
and
OC.
And they made Sarkisian move up to OC and coach.
You're right.
Whenever he did leave Florida Atlantic.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. Yeah, he has burned every bridge.
Every bridge besides Florida Atlantic.
But Saban didn't fire him on the tarmac like the Raiders did.
That's a factual statement. And then essentially,
you put that on your resume?
Yeah,
wasn't fired on the tarmac.
Air out all of his dirty laundry, and you saw that's what Ole Miss did. They put all of his clothes and such out in front of the office and everything, and just completely, turned the page on the Kiffin era. And yeah, wild. Now for LSU, it's a great get.
Is it though? You literally just ran down the list of Lane Kiffin.
Well, yeah, that's the Lane Kiffin experience.
Yeah.
It's great whenever you get them. It's horrible whenever you get rid of them.
Yeah, Florida Atlantic did well while he was coaching there.
Sure, yeah, 100%. They caught lightning in a bottle. They were like, sure. I mean, we're talking Lane Kiffin here.
When he was OC, or when he was working at USC with Pete Carroll. I mean, he's just
burnt bridges in USC too. Yeah, 110%.
There's just a whole lot that comes with Lane.
I don't think that he's allowed on the West Coast anymore.
I'm fairly certain that Al Davis at least had a fatwa put out against him. I'm guessing. I don't know that for a fact. That Mark may or may not be still enforcing. Now, is this a Lane Kiffin stepping stone back to the NFL?
Oh, I would be remiss to think that this is a stepping stone to the NFL. I think this is another rebrand for Lane Kiffin. I think his eventual goal is to coach every SEC team, and this crosses off the list. Because of course you got Tennessee, you got Alabama, you got Ole Miss.
I don't know that Vandy would have him right now, but yeah.
Yeah, right now, yeah, for sure. But down the road, he could probably disintegrate to that. But yeah, I don't know if it's a road back to the NFL, because I don't know teams that would want to bite on it. But is he kin to Monty Kiffin?
Yeah, that money was his dad.
That's his dad?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe down the road he finds his way back in.
That's how he got the Raiders job when he was 12 or whatever it was.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Monty Kiffin had roots to
No,
to Vegas.
but because he had the ties to Monty, his reputation sort of opened doors that mightn't have otherwise been open
Interesting.
for Lane. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, yeah, wild experience, but no matter what, he's an upgrade over Brian Kelly.
Yep.
Um,
LSU, from a football perspective, um, LSU has to be thrilled. They
yeah,
have to be cheering in their Cheerios.
yeah,
So,
and they backed up the Brinks trucks to go get him.
oh yeah, what'd they say? 12 million for 12 million a year for 7 years plus bonuses.
Yeah,
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 that's they did okay. Fortunately, University of North Texas will not have to deal with the Lane Kiffin experience. Looks like they're going to bring in Neil Brown, and
they got Tulane
see if they
coming
can
up.
move forward. Yeah, they
Yeah,
do.
and if they beat Tulane, then all of a sudden they can potentially find their way into the college football playoff.
That is because where are they sitting? I saw you had posted
They're at
something earlier.
24.
Yeah, they're at
They're at
20.
24, and then Tulane sitting at 20. But normally the conference winners will get a strong look.
Yeah,
Because of course this is the newly expanded playoff to 12 teams. So this conference championship, which is Tulane versus UNT, is gonna have some pretty decent implications.
yeah, absolutely. And cautiously excited. Just simply, I'd love to see UNT in there for so many reasons, but obviously being based here in Denton, um, UNT, seeing them, the excitement that's built around this town. You go to a place like Tallahassee or Gainesville or Tuscaloosa or Columbus, and all these places that have long traditions of football excellence. It's either championship or bust. There's not a whole lot of the losing is just more unpleasant than winning is pleasant for those fan bases. When you get a school like this that hasn't had this kind of success long term, you see a much more innocent, I think, fan base expression of fan excitement. I remember when my alma mater, the University of West Florida, won a national championship. They played back-to-back years. There was a Texas A&M. I can't remember the name of it. It was a Division III school.
Oh, like Commerce?
Yeah, Texas A&M Commerce, actually, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
They lost the year before to them in the Natty, the Division III Natty, and then they won. And it was big doings. Those people in Pensacola and us alums who, this was, they had only had a football team. I think it was their third year they won the bringing football back, that they won the national championship. So it was it was just very pure excitement. And I think that's what this reminds me of here, obviously on a much bigger scale, with University of North Texas, is they are just a whole lot of excitement in town, a whole lot of green running around, which
Yeah.
is kind of cool.
Well, and for the most part, in my entire upbringing, people went to UNT games to watch the band. They don't come to watch, UNT be competitive in football, and it's kind of changed. And it's been a pleasant surprise. And unfortunately, they couldn't keep Morris for any longer. But of course, booster clubs, if we're talking about money that can be spent on coaches, Oklahoma State has a good amount of money. So
Yeah, and they've got, it's kind of a long history of having, who's it, T Boone Pickens
yeah.
that funded, or that funds, or his.
Yeah, I mean, that's his stadium.
Yeah,
But yeah, Mike Gundy, for how long was he there for? And
yeah,
yeah, yeah, you can even go all the way back to, good old Jimmy Johnson, at Oklahoma
yeah,
State, and,
that's
the
true.
Barry Sanders era. But
Is
yeah, good football has always existed out there, and it's a bigger market. And
is Maker going to go with him?
I'm afraid so.
That's what I'm afraid of too.
Yeah. Because if he has any shot at going to the NFL, following that coach would be the smartest. So
That's 100% thought I had, because he coached like Cam Ward, if I'm not mistaken, and he's got a string of quarterbacks that he's worked with, and what we saw out of Drew this year was incredible,
yeah,
considering he never started a high school game.
100%.
Came in as a freshman, just lighting it up.
Yeah.
And it
I
was,
think if he was in a bigger market with the same amount of season he had, he'd be a Heisman candidate.
and absolutely. The question is, would he be able to have that kind of season against the next level competition?
Yeah.
And if he goes to Oklahoma State with Morris, not trying to talk him into this, but if you're listening, Drew, stay in Denton, man. Um,
Sometimes you just got to let them fly, you know?
yeah,
The
and
real ones stay like the good old Lance Dunbar, but, you know,
from an
sometimes you got to let them fly.
objective perspective, looking at his career and what would be in his position him most effectively for a career in the NFL, following Morris to Oklahoma State. First of all, he knows Morris's system. He'd be able to make any adjustments. He would be building on something instead of starting over, which is a huge, when these quarterbacks move from system to system, it's a huge, you got to speak a whole new language.
Yeah.
This way, he at least is going to have a solid foundation with whatever Morris rolls out in Oklahoma State.
Yeah, and I mean, from Denton to Stillwater is, equal distance than going to like, in Austin. So it's not that far of a drive to relocate. So yeah, I got a feeling a lot of UNT players, if they hit the portal, could be finding their way to Oklahoma State.
Yeah,
But no matter what, because of what he did at UNT, he's garnered my support.
yep.
So
He'll always get a call from you,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'll be rooting for him with the Pokes.
Yeah, same here. Good kid. Just came in and somebody told him he couldn't, so he did.
Yeah.
Can't ever argue with that.
Yeah, and forever this season will go down in UNT history as one of the best. So it's been a fun ride.
Yeah,
Been a
absolutely.
fun ride, and
And
not
it's
over yet.
not over yet.
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see. My travel lag apparently hurt my picks to start off the week 14. You and I both started one of us started 0-4, the other one started 1-3 with those 3 Thursday, 1 Friday game. Those Thursday games are so out there. That's why this one, Cowboys have had a week rest, and that's like
Yeah.
unheard of for a
No, I
Thursday.
think we both were 1-3 because I was 0-3 after Thanksgiving, and every single team that I wanted to win
That's right.
won.
Yeah.
But every single team that I picked ended up losing.
Yeah.
So it was a pleasant surprise. And then, of course, Chicago beating Philadelphia. Luckily, I called that one.
Yeah. That's right. We started 1-3, but we both ended up 10-6 for the week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is, we had a strong weekend. It's just getting to the weekend that was a little raggedy. I blame travel lag, but
That's fair. Yeah.
I would have made those exact same picks if I hadn't traveled. So
Yeah, I feel that.
anyway,
I didn't travel before the picks and still was abysmal. So
that's why I put that in there, just so I say I have an excuse. I don't know what Charlie's problem was.
yeah, should have thrown in some IDCs, but
Yeah, this would have been the week for it, and we're both still trying to sneak up to that 650, 65% range. But we are separated by 3/1000ths of a point.
crazy.
You are sitting at 63.0 and I am sitting at 63.3 for the year. So the 65 is still in our sights, man. We can do
Heck
this.
yeah.
I believe in us.
Yeah, 100%.
Before we get rolling through that, the standings, a couple of surprises. The 1 seeds in both the AFC and the NFC. I don't think anybody picked these before the season started. The Patriots, not only sitting atop the AFC East, but they are the 1 seed in the AFC at 11-2.
And the MVP's on their team?
Question. Can't really argue with what old D-May has done, as Stephanie calls him.
Yeah, no, you definitely can't argue with the production Drake May has had this year. And
11-2. I mean, that's
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I just his statistics too. I think he's leading the league in passing yards, and I think for this, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, he's has a 71% completion rating with a 23-6 touchdown to interception ratio. That's yeah, he's arguably the best player on that team and potentially in the NFL.
Leads league in passing yards. Yeah, he is. Excuse me. He is. He's number 1 ranked quarterback in the NFL right now. You can't really argue with that.
Yeah, no one's playing better ball than him. And it's not like his receiving weapons are, anything to write home about.
No.
Mac Jones essentially had the same guys, and he didn't do this level of of play, and it's not like the system he's in is one of those systems that quarterbacks besides Brady thrives in.
Right.
So because of course McDaniels is the OC there, so yeah, yeah, you got to give Drake May his flowers, and right now I don't know if there's a player that is playing better ball than him.
Vrabel Coach of the Year, or are we staying with
Nah,
Steichen?
nah,
Who do you got?
I got Ben Johnson.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the other leading atop the NFC. The number one seed in the NFC is the Bears at 9-3.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben Johnson. A friend of mine who's a Lions fan, posted something today and said, "Well, maybe it just the whole post was maybe it was Ben Johnson."
Oh, 110%.
Yeah,
And that's what, I was looking at before the start of the year. That was the best coaching hire. Um, and of course, there's always going to be a debate who is the best, because of course Vrabel was also in this coaching
this
carousel.
class. Yeah,
Um, but you look at how Detroit has done offensively versus how Chicago's done offensively. Ben Johnson, the loss of that has been stark there in Detroit.
yeah, absolutely. Elsewhere in the AFC, the North is turning out to going to be whoever survives it. The Ravens and the Steelers are all knotted up at 6-6. And if I'm not mistaken, the Ravens are sitting atop the division they've got the tiebreaker. Maybe, yep, they've got the tiebreaker over the Steelers at this point. But again, there's a lot of football left to play. They play each other twice more um, between now and the end of the season. So
And what if I told you neither one of those teams would win the division?
that would not surprise me, because the only thing is there's a whole lot of losses in Cincinnati.
There is.
They would have to win out to knock off the Steelers Ravens. You're saying it's possible?
Yeah, I'm saying it's more possible than I think the Ravens winning it.
And you look at the difference in that team, and Joe Flacco came in and did a very respectable job in Cincinnati when he left Cleveland
Yep.
on his tour of the AFC North. But you look at the difference in that team with Joe Burrow and the steel plate in his shoe. What an impact! If you question, is he a leader? Is because he doesn't yell and scream, but does his team do better when he's on the field? And
Yeah.
like I said, you got to give him his flowers. The proof is in the pudding and on the field, and he's done it.
Yeah, and it's the belief that they can win whenever they have Joe Burrow as the quarterback. And I think Flacco did a great job. He definitely lived up to the moment, but I don't know if the team fully believed they were in it as they do whenever Joe Burrow is under center. And if only they would have snuck out a couple of more wins whenever Burrow was gone, specifically that Jets loss, probably has sunk them. But the Ravens are on a steep decline, and Pittsburgh, of course, they haven't been under 500 at the end of a year. I think in the entire Tomlin
I
experience.
think so.
Um, so it leads me to believe that Pittsburgh has a better shot at winning that division. But man, this Baltimore team looks like they are in for a rebuild.
They're banged up, but keep in mind they went on a 5-game run when Lamar came back, and then before they lost this week. So it's just whether they can sustain it. And I'm with you. I just don't see it. Lamar's not 100%. Derrick Henry is even Derrick Henry is going to be mortal and hit that wall and come up along that cliff. But
Yeah.
yeah, they can't go on forever. So I agree with you. At some point, they're going to have to strip it down and keep the foundation and put a new building on it.
Yeah, 100%.
And then in the South, tied atop the AFC South, the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Indianapolis Colts are tied up at 8-4. Jacksonville has the tiebreaker right now, better record against common opponents. So this game this weekend is the NFL is playing out. We've got a whole lot of teams that are going to be playing each other twice between now and the end of the year. And Indy and Jacksonville, I believe, is one. I know the Ravens and Steelers are playing twice between now and the end of the year. So we're going to see some really meaningful football coming up in the next few weeks.
Yeah, 100%.
Starting this week with Jacksonville, the Colts, I think it's going to go a long way toward determining who ends up taking the AFC South ring.
Yeah.
And the West, the AFC West, Denver is running away with it. They're sitting at 10-2. The Chargers are still in the playoff hunt. They're still, if season ended today, that old line, they'd still be in the playoffs at 8-4. Kansas City's just barely hanging on at 6-6. And here's the thing. They would have to jump both the Texans at 7-5 and either the Steelers or Ravens, whoever doesn't win the division, and one of the teams that's currently sitting at 8-4, either the Bills or Indy or Jacksonville, whoever doesn't win the AFC South. So they're going to have to jump 3 teams to get into the playoff race, or to be one of the top 7 teams. They got a hell of a path. They have definitely built themselves a hell of a wall that they're going to have to go through. Are they going to be able to sneak into the playoffs? I mean, they're always going to be dangerous with Mahomes in the playoffs. I don't know that they get there.
I don't know either. I mean, Mahomes gives you the best chance, but defensively, um, they they do not look like the Kansas City Chiefs that have won and have been competitive. There's just so many holes on that defensive side of the ball that it just they have to score. And with Mahomes' offensive line, they're not just running the ball at will. So they're always behind in games. And of course, Mahomes makes it competitive. You never can count him out whenever 15, is out there, specifically in the fourth quarter. But defensively, they can't stop, the leak. And you saw it against Dallas. There were numerous times that essentially Dallas gave them the opportunity to capitalize, and Kansas City just couldn't live up to the call. And I think that is just what Kansas City is dealing with this year.
Well, and
There's been a lot of those games for them.
And it gets worse. Josh Simmons, left tackle, out for at least 4 games with his wrist. So, given that the Chiefs haven't been able to run the ball effectively, and given that 15 is going to have to carry the load to move them forward, they're going to have to do it with a makeshift offensive line. So things are not pointing up for the Chiefs. This is not looking promising for them. So yeah, your hot take is that the Bengals could overcome the Steelers and the Ravens. My hot take is Kansas City. Travis is going to be launching into retirement a little bit earlier than he'd hoped.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. And it might not only be Travis. How much longer does Mr. Reed have?
Yeah.
I don't know how many more, if he has a soft rebuild in him. I think Andy Reid is up there in age, and he already has, the track record that I feel like he'd be comfortable riding off into the sunset with.
Oh, he's a Hall of Famer today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, I don't know, there could be significant changes coming in KC. But really what I wanted to touch on, though.
Well, before we jump onto that,
okay,
does Spags take over for Andy when he leaves?
God, I would hope not.
Yeah.
I think Spags is one of the most underrated defensive coordinators, but you put him as a head coach, we've seen it numerous times.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. And even whenever he doesn't have, the stout players on the defensive side of the ball, you get decent defense.
Sure.
It's not like he elevates, mediocre players. So I think if Kansas City is going to have to rebuild and kind of reimagine themselves, I think it's going to have to be fresh blood.
Yeah, I think you're right. So anyway, you were getting ready to touch on something.
Oh, I was just going to say, is this the worst 10-2 team ever to exist? Because the way Denver has won these games, how they're sitting at 10-2 is beyond me. Defensive side of the ball, I still believe they're one of the best defenses, but then you have, a quarterback like Marcus Mariota, cutting them up like a hot knife through butter.
Yeah.
So Denver's offense is not great. And then the way that they've been beating subpar teams very closely, is this the worst 10-2 team that we've seen?
I think that's a great question. I want to see what the rest of their schedule looks like as we move through the year. See how long they're going to stay 10-2. All right, they've got, of course, my beloved Raiders this weekend in the late game. One of the late at 3:05.
Which another matchup where they barely won
Yep,
against, a Raiders team that
that is struggling.
has been struggling.
Yeah. After the Raiders this weekend, they've got Green Bay at home. They've got Jaguars at home. They go to Kansas City. And then they've got the Chargers at home. So they've got 3 of their last 4 after this week. They've got 3 of their last 4 at home. But that's not a cakewalk.
No, definitely not.
Kansas City may be playing spoiler by that point, but Green Bay, Jacksonville, and the Chargers, those are all playoff teams.
Oh, 110%.
And we're going to find out if they are a 10-2 team or a, 14-2 team, or if they're a 10-6 team.
Right.
Yeah.
100%. But just sitting at this point, it's shocking to me that they're at 10-2 and they're the best record in the NFL, just based on how they've beaten some of these very poor teams. It's
They had a great schedule.
Yeah.
Their schedule played well for them.
That is true.
So, moving on to the NFC, we've been playing catch up, man. We get back in the same room and things run on for a while.
Yeah, 100%.
The NFC, after back-to-back losses, the Eagles are still holding on atop the NFC East.
They need a few more of those.
Yeah, they've got an interesting run this week, and the Cowboys, after they get through, they've had sort of a murderer's row that they've been facing. They've got, of course, you mentioned Detroit tomorrow night. Is that in Arlington or on the road?
I believe it's on the road, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I can check that. I've got it pulled up.
It's on the road.
Yeah,
it's in Ford Field.
But after that, their schedule gets a little more breathable. They get the Vikings, Chargers on the road. Chargers at home. Then they finish up with the Commanders and the Giants. So they could have a little bit of breathing room. Are the Eagles in trouble? They're sitting there at 8-4, and the Cowboys are 6-5-1. So they're 2 and I used to be able to calculate how many games behind they are, but they're within striking distance.
1.5 games. They're 1.5 games behind Philadelphia, and yes, I've been stating this for quite a few weeks that Philadelphia is in trouble, and specifically offensively. The wide receivers, whether it be fed up with Jalen Hurts, whether it be fed up with the offensive coordinator, they have looked visibly upset, and even in the media, if you're talking about AJ Brown, has vocalized their disdain. And I think that it's just continuing to feel pressure, and I don't see changes of any substance being put into place with Philadelphia, and they can't just fall back onto their strong run game. And even the fan base in Philadelphia is essentially starting to revolt as well too. They, of course, I don't know if you saw in the news, people egged the offensive coordinator's house.
Wow, in Philly?
In Philly.
Yeah, go Philly fan.
Yeah. And yeah, there's a whole lot of bad vibes happening in Philadelphia, and they are reeling. That offense just looks atrocious.
Well, you mentioned the run game, and you said they haven't been able to get that going, and given the sort of dysfunction in the passing game, teams like Chicago last week was able to turn their focus on Saquon, held him 56 yards. They are at a week before against Cowboys. He didn't even have Hurts was the leading rusher with 33 yards.
100%.
So yeah, if they don't get their offense, if don't get their passing game figured out quickly, they are going to, they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, and I think even if they get their passing game figured out, which I still have reservations with.
Mm.
I think the lack of their rushing attack and elite rushing attack puts so much pressure on number one, the passing game and Jalen Hurts,
Hmm.
but also the defense, because the defense is going to have to be out there a lot more, and that can expose them instead of having to run the clock like they were doing last year, where essentially they controlled the essentially the time
And the amount of time the defense was on
and
the
the
field.
amount
Yeah,
of
yeah.
time the defense was out there. And so, without that, they're in a tough position. So, who would have ever thought Kellen Moore was the key to Philadelphia's success?
Yeah.
Um,
Ask New Orleans.
but yeah,
New Orleans was they're eliminated, and this is sad. It's always sad when you see the E show up next to your team's name. Right now, we've got an E next to the Titans, the Raiders, the Giants, and the Saints, and the Cardinals. Cardinals are eliminated too.
yeah.
But yeah, Kellen is doing good things over there in New Orleans.
I mean, and given arguably the worst hand out of any coach in the National Football League,
They've only
uh,
won 2 games, but they've shown some fire. They've shown some offensive uh, possibilities.
yeah, and I did not believe Tyler Shuck was an actual NFL quarterback.
Hmm. What did
Um,
he pick, 40th overall or something
I think
crazy
so.
like that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I thought it
everybody,
was shocking that he was picked before Shador and,
yep.
yeah, and he's lived up to it. You know, he looks like he potentially could be around for a minute. He's made impressive throws. Of course, Chris Olave, they've kept healthy.
He's still alive
Yeah,
somehow.
he's
Hmm.
looking, pretty decent. Of course, they just don't have quality players else around them. Offensive line's not that great. I think they traded their best offensive lineman to the Chargers at the deadline. Running, they don't have any running backs worth of substance. Receivers after Olave drops off, they have an old tight end, which is good. But then defense, there's no players on that defense
Yeah.
that's worth anything. Chase Young, that experience is over,
Yeah.
and yeah,
They've got some work to do in the draft, definitely. But I've been surprised to see Shuck and see what Kyler's
Kellen Moore,
Kellen's been able to do with Shuck. I think they've
yeah,
done a reasonable job of making him look like, yeah, he NFL quarterback.
100%.
All right, in the North, as I mentioned before, so the Cowboys are nipping at the Eagles' heels, which is always good to see, and we're excited for tomorrow night.
Tape up that hand, Justin Herbert.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, that was ugly. That was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway, we'll get
we'll
to
get
that.
to it.
Yeah. The Bears, they are the number one seed in the NFC at 9-3. The Packers are right behind them in the North at 8-3-1, and the Lions are still struggling to hang in there at 7-5. Only the Vikings are. They haven't been eliminated, but they're not going to make the playoffs. Yeah,
And heads are going to roll in Minnesota.
absolutely. They need to shake some things down. I don't know that the JJ McCarthy experiment was a returned positive result. So
Yeah, and they doubled down on them. They got rid of all their other quarterbacks.
yeah, cut
Yeah,
them loose. Yeah, so we will see how that plays out. It's going to be interesting. We got the Bears and the Packers this weekend. They play each other again twice between now and the end of the year. So that'll be exciting. In the South, the Buccaneers are at 7-5. Carolina is hanging right there at 7-6. They're a half game behind the Buccaneers, putting pressure on. The Buccaneers are sort of sputtering in with injuries, and Bryce Young is convinced he's an NFL quarterback, and I'll be damned if he's not doing the job.
yeah. I mean, he finally has a wide receiver one, and two really strong running backs. But I think what has been most impressive is that defense. Teams can't run on Carolina.
Yeah.
They eliminate the run game and then force other teams to throw. And even a quarterback that was on an absolute barn burner, which was Matthew Stafford, with I don't know how many completions versus interceptions he had, but I know it was a record. He turned the ball over. He was throwing interceptions at Carolina, and that's because Carolina or the Rams couldn't run on him. So, yeah, Carolina has been definitely impressive. And I don't think that anyone, at least me specifically, saw that coming.
Yeah, and when you were talking about the putting the pressure on the opposing offenses to throw the ball, I'll always go back to the Darrell Royal quote. There are three things that happen on a forward pass, and two of them are bad. And that's the kind of sort of the bets that teams are playing when they're going to force an opposing team to throw the ball.
Yep.
They're betting on getting one of those bad things happen.
Yep.
Okay, the West. This is a mess. The Rams are leading the division at 9-3. The Seahawks are also 9-3, but the Rams hold the tiebreaker. The 49ers, currently sitting in the seventh playoff spot, also have 9 wins at 9-4, and they've got a bye this week. So
Yep.
they get to rest up just in time for the final stretch. What we figured the Wests were going to be fun divisions. And this has lived up to the hype. The Rams, the Seahawks, and the 49ers battling it out. Still don't know how the 49ers have navigated the season to win 9 games with all the injuries they've had. What do you think about this mess?
Yeah, it's unfortunate as a team that's hoping to get into the wild card push. Um, I feel like the wild card might have two NFC West teams in it.
It's looking that
because
way.
who's going to pull away in this division? Um, yeah, I had thought that the Rams were, the clear cut number ones. Um, but they're beatable.
Yeah, that's the thing. All of these teams are flawed.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought the Rams defense, was one of the league's best, and then they let Bryce Young dog walk them. And yeah, I don't know who ends up being the division winner. Of course, the Rams own the tiebreaker versus Seattle, but the 49ers are getting a little bit healthy on the offensive side of the ball.
Yep.
Defense is still going to be a struggle, but the defense has still looked good. So
I right now, if I were picking, I would say, and I don't have to pick, but if I were if forced to pick, I think the 49ers take this in. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing
that's
that
crazy.
I know. And here's the thing that bothers me about the Seahawks. They have, and I picked them to win this division. I picked them to be one of the top teams in the NFC this year.
Mm-hmm.
They are second in the league in giveaways.
Oh, yeah, it's the Sam Darnold experience.
You do not win consistently in the NFL if you're giving the ball away.
Yep.
And yet the Seahawks are. I have to believe that this was as good as that Seattle defense is. I have to believe if they continue to turn the ball over at the rate they are, this is going to bite them in the ass. I think they've won some games they should have lost because of their defense. I think Darnold has performed admirably. I don't think he's been Drake May or anything, but I think he's done a good job other than giving the ball away. They're second in the NFL. That blew my mind when I heard that. Second in the NFL in giveaways, and they've won 9 games. They're sitting at 9-4.
Yeah.
Or 9-3, excuse me. That's going to catch up with them.
Yeah, and it's truly the Sam Darnold experience, because Sam Darnold will look like an MVP caliber player against bad teams, and then all of a sudden be throwing 4 picks a game.
But at least he never got into an drunken alley fight with a truck driver.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's not the worst Jets quarterback.
For USC quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, or USC. That's a good point too.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious, do the Jets have a bad USC track
Quit
record?
drafting USC quarterbacks, New York.
Yeah. Unless you're Caleb Williams, all of a sudden USC looks good.
Yeah, the Jets didn't draft him. That's why he's okay.
I get yeah, that's a fair point.
Maybe that's the toxic.
That's a fair point.
You know who else the Jets drafted at quarterback? Geno Smith.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Yeah, I mean that was because of Tavon Austin, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, it is. My heart's broken.
But yeah,
anyway.
the West is going to be fun to see who shakes out. I still think at the end of the day, it'll probably be the Rams. But goodness gracious, if I was a betting man, I would not be throwing any money on it.
Quick spin down. If the playoffs started today, that old yarn. Real quick in the AFC, it would be the Patriots in order 1 through 7. Patriots, Broncos, Jags, Ravens as the division winners. Chargers, Colts, and Bills as the wild cards. The fact that the Bills are still hanging in there as inconsistently as they've played kind of surprises me. I don't know that yeah, I'm interested to see how this Jaguars Colts thing plays out and
Yeah.
whether or not the Texans can sneak in behind them.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about one of the best defenses in the game.
Yep.
That's the Houston Texans. But you want to talk about one of the most frustrating offenses. That's also the Houston
Houston
Texans.
Texans. Defense wins championships as the old yarn goes.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
But Patriots Bills as a playoff, or Broncos Bills as a playoff matchup.
Yep. That puts
You
Jags Colts as things stand right
you
now.
would think that'd be a one and done for the Broncos. Then you have Jags Colts, which that would be fun. And then Ravens Chargers. I don't think I would want to watch.
how can you IDC a playoff game?
It'd be the Harbaugh playoff matchup.
Neither of them on the field.
Yeah. Let's just have a fist fight with the Harbaugh brothers.
I'm good with that.
Instead of actual football.
Who has it as good as us?
Yeah.
Over in the NFC, the playoff breakdown right now, the Bears, Rams, Eagles, Buccaneers are the 4 division winners. Seahawks, Packers, 49ers are in the wild card spots. That is what we're looking at today. Missing, of course, are your beloved Dallas Cowboys, but the season's not over. We know that much.
Golly, but Soldier Field not having a playoff game on it because of a bye week, that would be I don't know a better story than that. That's a historic team turning back around to being competitive.
So what you're telling me is that an NFL team's ability to be successful is largely tied to having a quality head coach and a quality quarterback?
Yeah, 100%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me write this down. I gotta mail this to Mark and Tom Brady.
Yeah. Yeah. And what if I told you one of those was just on the market?
Yeah.
Was just on the market. Any team could have picked up that coach, but chose not to. But then these playoff matchups, I think, of the NFC are the most fascinating to me.
Yep.
The Rams versus Niners. Of course, that just speaks for itself. That's just a historic
division
fight.
Yep.
Eagles versus Packers. 2 teams that absolutely make you want to pull your hair out if you're a Cowboy fan.
And objectively, if I could add, 2 of the ugliest shades of green in the history of mankind, in the history of vision.
It's the Reggie White playoff.
Yeah.
Eagles, Packers. And then you got Buccaneers, Seahawks, which, another one of those. Do I care? You could catch me after the game.
You could see 54 turnovers in that game.
Yeah, I think I'd rather see Carolina, honestly.
Yeah.
In that spot than the Bucks. But no matter who comes out of the NFC South, I don't give a crap about watching.
They're going to move on quickly.
Yes.
If it's the Bucks, I got to watch Bake. Yeah, I got to watch
for sure.
Bake or Bake. But yeah, other than that, no interest.
Yeah, and love me some Todd Bowles. Vita Vea is fun, but again, anyone in the NFC South, not for me. Not for me.
All right, what's the top 5 power rankings look like this week?
Yeah, we got some shakers. So yeah, I have the Patriots moving on up from the 4 seed to the 1 seed. I just think what Vrabel has built, it's very impressive. They got the MVP on their team. Drake May looks to be the part. I just like their pieces around him. Henderson is coming into his own as the clear RB1, with Stevenson as being a good second fiddle.
Really, really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. It's thunder and lightning.
Yep.
And then of course they have quality receivers. But then that defense is also rounded into shape. So yeah, New England's my number 1. Number 2 is Chicago. Bears weren't even on my top 5. But I think they have,
they've earned their way.
Yeah. Beating the Eagles, who was sitting in my 2 seed, shows me that they are for real. And legit. Of course, they have a lot of divisional matchups coming up. So that'll be the the really telling point. But the Bears lead the league in turnovers.
Mm.
They take the ball away a lot. And of course they have a quality offense. And so that that's a great combination to
So
have.
you're telling me the Bears would love to see the Seahawks come to town in the
Yes.
playoffs? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Then I got the Colts. Colts moving from 1 to 3. I feel like they are reeling. I still feel like they are one of the best teams. I am concerned that Sauce Gardner might be out,
Mm.
but I still think that running game.
Not to mention Indiana Jones right or his leg injury.
Yeah, he has that broken tibia,
Fibula.
fibula.
You know how
Um,
you know how I broke this, and you know how I keep them straight. Fibula. A fib is a little white lie,
yeah,
little lie. So a fib is the littler bone in the
oh,
fibula tibia.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, a little peek inside how my mind works.
But I also think if you put Anthony Richardson at quarterback, I don't think that that's a bad experience. And that might just be not writing off Anthony Richardson. But I don't feel like the loss of Daniel Jones is as stark as I think many believe right now.
Hmm.
And I think that they could still ride off of that strong offensive line, running game, and a good defense. So I still got the Colts being at my number 3. Rams come in at number 4. They're reeling. I'm concerned by how they've looked against subpar teams, but I still think they have a great shot at making a run, even if they sneak into the playoffs, just because they have established potentially Hall of Fame quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
strong offensive minded head coach, and then if the defense can be anything but serviceable. And then the Broncos, they have one of the best divisions in football. I don't know how. They are reeling. That defense is great. Offense still gives me
You just
nightmares.
have no idea what you're going to get with them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I feel like they're beating bad teams very closely. So that the record is kind of not a direct indication of what the team is. So they're at my number 5. Yes, Philadelphia has fallen all the way out of my top 5, and I love to see it.
Well, and I get the sense that Max Crosby is sort of drooling at the prospect of seeing Bo Nix this week. Crosby, of course, is a little bit banged up with a knee, but yeah, he's got to be chomping at the bit to get a hold of Bo Nix.
Yeah, something's got to give in Las Vegas. So hopefully it'll be against the Broncos.
Yeah, at this point, I don't know whether I'd just be shooting for the best seat in the house in Pittsburgh, but yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
sad time of year for Raiders fans.
yeah,
All right, going into the matchups, we're gonna have to, yeah, we're gonna want to blast through do the
yeah.
fire
Speed
round.
round.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's do
speed
it.
round's fun. We developed that on the fly, and I love it. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a lot of fun. Real
Agreed.
quick, the surprise line of the week for me: Green Bay is favored by 6.5 over the Bears this week. That I was not expecting. They're playing in Green Bay, so that's a home field advantage. But man, 6.5 over the Bears. I guess they don't believe the betters don't believe that the Bears are for real either.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think that's the most surprising line out of this out of the entire week.
Yeah, and then the game of the week, I've got two. The Chicago Green Bay game, I think, is going to be an old fashioned NFC North Division battle. But the low key game of the week, just simply because of the stakes and because both of these teams have underperformed this year, and that is going to be Houston at Kansas City.
Ooh, okay.
First of all, seeing if what CJ can do on the road in December in Arrowhead, see if Kansas City has the character to rally the troops and to come back in and force themselves to be the playoff team that they aspire to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the stakes there, Houston has an opportunity to sneak in if they can play well, to sneak in and take that division over from Jacksonville and Indy. Let's see where they're sitting right now. They're at 7-5. They're only a game behind
Mm-hmm.
the other two, so they could this just because of the stakes involved. I think that's
Yeah.
a low key game of the week. And let me see who they finish with. They finish with Kansas City and Arrowhead. Then they have Arizona, Vegas at home, They go to LA to play the Chargers, and then they finish up the year with Indianapolis in Houston. So yeah, they kind of have a good schedule laid out, with potentially that week 18 game being having their season in their hands at the end of the season. And you know what? You really can't ask for much more than that.
Yeah. Well, and in December football, you want to bet on very strong defenses. And I don't know if there's a better defense than the Houston Texans right now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and you've got Jacksonville, which has been a little bit inconsistent on offense. You've got Indianapolis, who's banged up, and they've got some of their flaws are beginning to show.
all three of those teams have powerhouses for defenses, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And Houston could do it. They're only a game behind. So
Yeah.
that division, I think, is going to be a lot of fun. And for that reason, that Houston Kansas City game, I think, is going to be a low key. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a real no kidding NFL game for something that matters.
Yeah. My games of the week, though, I would have to agree with you with Green Bay, Chicago. That's just a rivalry that it's like anytime Dallas plays Washington, even if, the teams aren't that great, it's just great football to watch.
Do you think that Jordan Love knows the Aaron Rodgers move?
The discount double check.
Yeah, I think he'll drop that on him.
No, probably not. I don't,
Well, they'll be at home. So
Jordan Love doesn't strike me as a guy that has the dog in him.
Yeah.
He's just that kind of cool-headed quarterback. Aaron Rodgers had that dog in him. Wanted to let Chicago know that he owned them. I think times have changed, though. I think Caleb has that dog in him.
Mhm.
So I think that Caleb could hit him with a discount double check.
Play it back out. Play it back on him in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Come on, Caleb, do it.
But I will say my
Right
number one game of the week, though, just because it's always great whenever these two teams meet. That there's just going to potentially be some fun, potentially referee decisions that'll be thrown in it, and that is Dallas versus Detroit. So I'm very excited to watch this game tomorrow. And so that's a perfect segue into our picks.
Yeah, real quick. I am also looking forward to the Raiders facing their rivals. All kind of ugly things can happen during these games. So I am excited about the Raiders Donkeys matchup in Las Vegas on Sunday.
Heck yeah. Absolutely.
All right, let's rattle them off.
Let's do it.
Opening up tomorrow night, you mentioned it, Cowboys at Detroit. Detroit favored by 3 points against the Cowboys.
Yeah. This game is going to come down to an offensive lineman coming into the game, not reporting eligible, and Dallas is going to sneak out the win, 31-27. Give me Dallas winning this ball game.
I've got Dallas winning this one too, 34-28. Next up, Seattle Seahawks at Atlanta. Seattle favored by 7.5 points. Atlanta's a very different team on the road than they are at home.
Yeah.
So what do you got?
Atlanta also is a very different team whenever Kirk Cousins is playing ball.
Yes, they are.
And he is still playing. So yeah, give me Seattle 30-14.
I've got Seattle 24-17. I think there's going to be some ugly football played in this game. Those turnovers in Seattle scare me a little bit. Next up, Cincinnati, the team on the climb, going into Buffalo. Buffalo favored by 5.5 at home.
Give me the better quarterback. I'm going Joe Burrow.
What?
Give me Cincinnati.
The better. What? Do the Bills Mafia hear what he just said? He just blasphemed Josh Allen.
Okay, it's like saying that Jim Kelly is a better quarterback than Troy Aikman. Give me actual proof.
Results.
Yeah, I don't
Show
need
it on the field.
just an MVP. I need actual success. So.
All right. Yeah, it's tough going into Orchard Park in December, even for a winter team like Cincinnati. I've got the Bills taking this 27-24. It's going to be a good game. Next up, Tennessee at Cleveland. Cleveland favored by 3.5 at home. What you looking at?
The winner of this game is the loser of this game. Who gets the better draft pick? You don't want to win this matchup. I think Cleveland wants to win more than Tennessee wants to win. So give me Cleveland 20-17. Deshaun Watson coming back, maybe?
Rumblings are that he may be back. I don't know that they're going to. They did say there was a path forward. He's gotten cleared. There was an interview with Stefanski, or Stefanski said that he didn't commit to a return. but did acknowledge that there's a path back for Deshaun. I think we're going to see Shador this week. And you talk about teams that want to win. I think Shador is starting to figure it out in the NFL. I think he's still on something of a um, audition tour for other NFL teams for the offseason. I've got Cleveland winning this 31-21, and Shador he's looking incrementally better every week. So
And Shador wanted to beat Cam Ward. He wanted that number 1 overall pick.
sure,
He wasn't given that. And so I got a feeling Shador wants to make Tennessee know that they made a mistake.
he likes letting his voice his play do the talking for him. So next up, Minnesota, Washington at Minnesota. Minnesota is favored in this one by 1.5. Granted, they're at home, but really,
This is a bigger I don't care game than Tennessee at Cleveland, and I can't believe I'm saying that.
yeah.
These two teams should not be in the positions that they are, but they, as good old, I forget his first name, but the old coach for the Cardinals, they are who we thought they were.
Dennis Green.
Dennis Green, thank you for the call out. But yeah, give me Washington. I think Marcus Mariota is finding himself, and I think JJ McCarthy is still searching to figure out who he is.
If you flip a warped coin, Grasshopper, the results will always surprise you. I get the Vikings 28-24.
Flip
coin. Next up, Miami going into New York Jets, going into New Jersey to play the Jets. Miami favored by 5.5.
Do the football gods hate us?
I think so.
Because these noon stretches are like, goodness gracious. If you have any gardening to do outside, or you want to go and see a movie, that you might have a better opportunity of finding some joy than these football matchups right now.
I'm looking at the noon games, and I can't find a fourth. If I had to pick a 4 box on this one, we'll just have Red Zone be the fourth.
Yeah, I feel you.
There you go.
I probably could find 4.
I'll watch Pittsburgh, Baltimore.
Yep.
Indy, Jacksonville.
Yep.
Cincy, Buffalo.
Yep. Oh, you're not watching Seattle, Atlanta?
Yeah, I don't. Atlanta's.
That's fair.
But
Atlanta is pretty garbage.
Yeah.
It might be done by the third quarter.
Yeah.
You're probably right.
Those 3 in Red Zone, and I'm a happy guy.
You're probably right. But yeah, Miami at the Jets. I don't care who wins this game. I don't even think Miami or New York cares about who wins this game. Give me Miami 27, New York 24.
Yeah, I've got Dolphins taking this 21-17 in a game that isn't nearly as pretty as that sounds. Next up, we're in the NFC South, New Orleans.
I did want to mention the Jets uniforms, though, are going to be fire.
Really?
Yeah, they're calling it, they're like black Gotham.
Okay.
And so they're all black jerseys. I think that's the only saving grace of that game.
All right, might be worth a watch just to see the uniform.
Just for the jerseys.
What's called Black Gotham?
It's something Gotham.
But
it's all black. I know that. Super cool looking.
Oh, yeah, tight.
Yeah.
Those are gnarly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's that coal gray black.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, those are fire. You're right. Good call out. Watch the Jets game for the jerseys.
Just for the jerseys.
Next up, NFC South, New Orleans taking a trip down the road, down I-10 and down 75 to go see Tampa. Tampa's favored by 8.5 at home. What you got?
This just feels like a game that New Orleans shouldn't win, but will. I really hope not. And I think New Orleans really hopes not, just because of the draft implications. But I got to pick Tampa Bay 24-20. But I have liked what I've started to see from New Orleans.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about Kellen Moore and Shuck.
Tyler Shuck.
Tyler Shuck in New Orleans, and they're doing some good things. I just can't bring myself, and we don't compare our scores before we lay them out here, but Charlie's got them 24-20, Bucks winning 24-20. I've got the Bucks winning 24-21.
Oh, dang.
Think we're going to see a little bit of exciting football out of the Saints. Next up, the big one in the NFC or the AFC South, Indy at Jacksonville, going into Duval.
Yeah.
Indy favored by 1.5 on the road.
Yeah. I like what I'm seeing from Jacksonville. I think they finally found their wide receiver 1. His name is Jacoby Myers.
Yeah,
That's
right?
weird.
Well,
Um,
break my heart, would
yeah,
you?
I know. But yeah, give me Jacksonville 30-27. I'm excited to watch this matchup.
I think this one's going to be close as well, only I've got the Colts winning it 24-21. I think Trevor's going to make a mistake that hurts him and costs him the ball game, but could be wrong. This one's going to be fun to watch regardless.
Agreed.
Finally, as we go to the AFC North, Pittsburgh at Baltimore. Baltimore favored by 5.5 over Pittsburgh. This was almost my surprise line of the week. 5.5 Baltimore's favored by against Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Anytime I see this matchup, I have just visions of Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, and Troy Polamalu, and
Tony Siragusa.
yeah, Casey Hampton.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've loved this matchup. As a football fan, I absolutely love Pittsburgh versus Baltimore. I think one of my favorite rivalries in all of professional sports. But yeah, give me Pittsburgh 17-10.
I've got the Ravens 17-14. It's going to be close. It's going to be defensive. It's going to be AFC North December football. I think you're going to see some heavy hitting going on there.
I love it.
The Donkeys come into Las Vegas. Denver is favored by 7.5 against the Raiders.
Yep. Getting closer to that next quarterback in Las Vegas. I got Denver winning 17-10.
Yeah, I wish I was as optimistic as you are. I've got the Donkeys taking this 34-13. The Raiders offense is just there's so many holes on that offensive line. Gino isn't getting beyond his first read. Sometimes he'll get into the second reading the progressions. He's just doesn't have time to get through his reads. And when he does, he's making just crazy decisions. And when he starts running the ball, it seems like he always slides 2 yards before the first down, even though it's cleared. So yeah, it's brutal. I don't see this being even close. So unfortunately, I'll probably turn this off in the second quarter.
They played them rough the first matchup, so
They did.
we'll see.
Hopefully the defense will step up. I've been real pleased with what I'm seeing there, but they just need a lot of offensive help. Next up, our game of the week: Chicago at Green Bay. Green Bay favored by 6.5.
Yep. I think the tides have finally turned. I think Chicago might have Green Bay's number. Give me Chicago 31-30.
I've got the Packers taking this at home, 24-21, may even be closer than that, although I don't think it's going to be much more high scoring. I think we're going to see some nasty defense there, and we're going to see some good old-fashioned Green Bay December football. Rams going to the who cares Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals. Rams favored by 8.5. Seems like it should be double that. Can you tell I just have no respect for the Cardinals?
I don't even think the Cardinals have respect for the Cardinals.
That's fair.
Yeah. Jacoby Brissett is who we thought he was. That offense, there's just nobody besides Trey McBride that moves any sort of needle for me. I think the Rams struggle against not great opponents like we saw against Carolina, but I think they are going to prove something this week. I got them winning 33-10.
Yeah, I've got the Rams dropping some PTs on the Cardinals. I've got the Rams 38-17.
Almost a 40 burger.
Yeah, and they may create. I actually had it as a 40 burger and then dialed it back just a notch. But I would not be surprised to see Matthew Stafford and Puka and all those guys, Devontae, see them drop 40 bomb on Arizona. Arizona is really, really, really bad.
Yeah.
All right, Sunday night, my low-key game of the week, Houston at Kansas City. Big stakes in this game. Kansas City favored by only 3.5 at home. What do you think?
Yeah, it concerns me that Kansas City really can't run the ball because I think if you try to pass the ball on this Houston team, bad things happen. They have a phenomenal secondary and a great pass rush too from both angles with Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson. I really wanted to go Houston here, but it's like whenever Muhammad Ali goes into a fight, just can't bet against him. Give me Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City 20-17.
Yeah, it's kind of the thought process I went. I would love to find a way for Houston. I think playing on the road with this kind of pressure, with these stakes at the game, I think it's going to be close. I think we're going to see some gnarly defense out of Houston. I think that the Chiefs are going to win, but just barely. I got them 21-20. Finally, Philadelphia, the Eagles going into SoFi to take on the Chargers. Philly favored by 3 on the road against the Chargers. What you think, Charlie?
I really hope Justin Herbert can play. I really, really hope he can play. If not, give me Trey Lance. Give me Trey Lance marching down the field, beating Philadelphia. The real reason the Cowboys brought him in was not to play for the Dallas Cowboys, but it is to install the loyalty of wanting to beat Philadelphia. Give me the Chargers 23-20. This is my Cowboy fandom speaking.
I think that Philly hate has been ingrained in Trey Lance. So if Justin Herbert is not able to play, I think Trey will bring all his hate, all his vitriol to bear. However, I've got the Eagles winning this on the road 28-24. I hope I am wrong.
God, me too.
This is a pick I hope I have completely wrong. So
Me too. I need this dysfunction to keep going for Philadelphia.
all right. Well, there you go. Hopefully the dysfunction will continue. But we are through another week. We are hoping we may get to our 65% or 650 range this week, Charlie. So yeah, see how well we did.
Absolutely.
All right. So we've got Soup and Cowboys at Lions tomorrow night at the house.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you say?
Go silver and blue.
Go silver and black forever. Peace.
This is the Patchouli Podcast Network.